The Pentagon has confirmed it accepted an anonymous $130 million donation to help cover military pay during the ongoing federal shutdown. President Trump said the donor is a friend, called the contribution patriotic. Defense officials said they used the General Gift Acceptance Authority and earmarked the funds directly for service members and benefits. But even with that happening, the $130 million, which is a nice chunk of money, ain't even close to cover what needed for the payroll. Why is that? Because military payroll runs into billions every pay period. Figures right now peg a single mid-month payroll, because it's twice a month, at about $6.5 to $7.5 billion. And that means this one gift is just a fraction of a day. It doesn't cover very much. We'll see how much it helps. DoD has already been shifting billions from research and development accounts to keep the checks flowing right now. The next pay cycle remains extremely tight without any congressional action. But the issue is budget and ethics, and experts on both are warning that using private funds to pay salaries for our military, or anybody in general, actually brushes up against constitutional limits and Anti-Deficiency Act, which guards against spending without appropriations. Spending on agencies like Interior is routinely accepted, but they're not spending so much on people. They're spending on stuff on lands, on buildings, on projects. Applying the logic to defense, specifically for salaries in defense, is rare and controversial. Pentagon officials say the gift was vetted under existing authority. Critics want more transparency on the terms of the donor's nationality. I believe we'll know that pretty soon, pretty definitely. The early reports I've heard on the news is that it's a American person who is the beneficiary, or will be the beneficiary, of a fairly large billion-dollar family fund. If that's fine, that's fine. If it's not, well, it's really not. Because supporters are framing the donation as patriotic stopgap for helping the troops through the stalemate. But all the skeptics and people who just sort of see what's coming are calling it a troubling precedent that normalizes private underwriting of core government obligations. The announcement also adds pressure on Congress, where competing bills to guarantee troop pay are stalling. One did not pass yesterday. Another one coming in, I guess, Monday will probably not pass as well, amid the broader shutdown negotiations. So look out for the Pentagon's next payroll deadline to be quite an interesting time. Further fund shifts, and whether Congress moves to a clean measure to get everybody paid, open the government, or get everyone in the military paid, can happen. Lawmakers may also seek donor identity and details from any donors and the guardrails for future gifts to make sure that they are appropriated to something benign and that there's no strings actually attached to it. If the shutdown persists, expect renewed debate over whether defense should lean on private money at all, which sounds like a big deal for people who pay big money for private contractors, we'll say, to defend themselves and for security. Will they get more troop love from the troops if they're paying the security going forward? Will they be more amenable to support a billionaire with an issue with his company as opposed to support a region that's in need? So what this offers is immediate relief for the troops, but not much. 130 million does not come close to matching up to the 6.5 billion that's more or less put out every 2 weeks. But service members are knowing that someone is taking care of them, even if the someone is not the people in Congress that we voted to put in there. There's also plenty of transparency issues and lots of precedent that's being broken right now. Not something that's necessarily new for the Trump administration. Breaking precedent and transparency are always something he has. But anonymous donors, and it'll be listed as anonymous for the Pentagon, but we'll just, because journalists need to know these things, we'll let it be known, and maybe they'll speak out on it and why will come forward. Not knowing who's paying these bills does actually weaken accountability and has concerns in the Constitution on who exactly is funding our actual core competencies. It's a problem. So if the donation was up front off the get-go, it'd been fine. But trust me, I'm sure he or she wished they could have been left anonymous a little bit longer and stayed out of the news for this. Maybe it is for benevolent, for good stuff, or maybe they are trying to buy into the good graces of one Donald J. Trump. Or both. We shall see. Is this a good move to help make sure our troops are getting paid, even if we all know it's not nearly enough to make it work? Comment ahead.